Emily Carter had always believed she could handle life on her own. She lived in Portland, worked as a freelance graphic designer, and managed her small world with careful planning. But on that cold Monday morning, everything slipped out of her, hands faster than she could control. It started with an email. One simple message that carried too much weight for her already tired heart. Her largest client, the one who normally filled her monthly income, canceled the project she had been relying on. No explanation, no apology, just a short note saying they were going in a different direction. Emily stared at the screen, hoping she had read it wrong, but the words stayed the same. Her stomach tightened. She had rent due in 5 days, no family nearby to help, and barely enough savings to cover groceries. She leaned back in her chair, pressing her fingers into her temples. It had been a rough year before this moment. Her breakup 6 months earlier had left her emotionally drained. Her mother's sudden illness had taken her back and forth between states, using up the little money she had saved. And now, losing this client felt like the final blow. She whispered to herself, "Not now. Please, not now." Emily walked to her apartment window and looked out at Maple Ridge Apartments, a quiet place surrounded by tall trees and soft lights. It was peaceful here, and for a moment she wished her life felt as steady as the view. But peace did not pay rent, and the clock was ticking. She needed a plan, and fast. After pacing her small living room for 10 minutes, she made a decision she had been avoiding. She would talk to her landlord, Daniel Brooks. She didn't like asking anyone for help, especially someone she barely knew, but Daniel had always seemed fair. He was in his early 40s, calm and approachable, the kind of person who spoke softly, but carried a quiet confidence. Emily had seen him around the building many times, always helping someone fix a light bulb or answering a question without sounding bothered. She hoped he would at least listen. At 6 p.m., she slowly walked down the hallway toward the management office. Her hands were cold from nerves, and she kept rehearsing what she would say. She didn't want to sound irresponsible. She didn't want to seem like she was making excuses. She just needed a little time. It's just 1 month. She knocked gently on the door. Daniel opened it almost immediately, as if he had been standing nearby. His warm brown eyes softened when he saw her. "Emily, everything okay?" he asked, surprised but genuinely concerned. She took a shaky breath. I need to talk to you about my rent." Daniel stepped aside to let her enter. The office smelled faintly of coffee and old paper. A small lamp glowed on his desk, adding a calming warmth to the room. Emily sat across from him, trying not to show how embarrassed she felt. "What happened?" he asked gently, and for the first time in months, someone actually listened. Emily told him about her canceled project, about the stress she'd been carrying, about how she didn't want to fall behind but didn't know what else to do. She explained everything honestly, her voice quiet but steady. Daniel didn't interrupt. He didn't sigh or frown or act annoyed. He just listened, leaning forward with understanding in his eyes. When she finished, she felt both exposed and relieved, like she had let out a breath she'd been holding far too long. "I'm really sorry, Daniel," she said softly. "I just need a little more time. Not trying to avoid anything. I just had a bad month." He nodded slowly. "Emily, thank you for coming to me instead of hiding it. A lot of people wait until things get worse. You didn't." Words surprised her. She had expected a lecture or at least a warning. Instead, he sounded almost proud of her honesty. "I'll think about what I can do," Daniel said. "Let me look at a few options, and we'll figure something out together. No need to panic. Together." That word hit her unexpectedly. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to her like she wasn't alone. She stood up, grateful but still nervous. "Thank you." Really. As she walked back to her apartment, she realized her heart was beating fast, but not from fear anymore. There was something else mixed in, something warm. Maybe relief. Maybe hope. Or maybe just the rare comfort of someone treating her with kindness when she expected the opposite. She spent the evening trying to distract herself, washing dishes, organizing her desk, even refolding her laundry, but her mind kept drifting back to Daniel's gentle expression. She didn't know him well, but there was something steady about him, something reassuring, something she wished she had more of in her life. By the time she curled up in bed, she was exhausted. She fell asleep quickly, though her thoughts were still tangled with worry, rent, work, her mother. Everything felt uncertain, but at least Daniel had not shut her down. That meant something. The next morning, she woke to a soft sound at her door. She opened it and found a small folded note on the floor. Her name was written on it in Daniel's neat handwriting. She picked it up quickly and unfolded it inside. In simple, calm words, it said, "Come see me when you have time. I have a proposal for you." A proposal. Her breath caught in her throat. She stood in her doorway, heart pounding faster and faster. She didn't know whether to feel relieved, hopeful, or nervous. What kind of proposal could a landlord possibly have? A payment plan, a small loan, more time, or something else? The note felt too mysterious, too unexpected, and the way he worded it clear, direct. But Jen Taloni made her more curious. Emily closed her door and leaned against it, holding the paper tightly. For the first time in days, her mind wasn't filled with panic. It was filled with questions. She couldn't answer yet. One thing was clear. Her life was about to change, and she had no idea how. The moment Emily stepped into Daniel's office the next afternoon, she felt a strange mix of hope and fear. The note he had left under her door kept replaying in her head. "I have a proposal for you." She didn't know what that meant, but she prayed it wasn't something she couldn't handle. She needed help, but she also needed to feel safe. And so far, Daniel had shown her nothing but kindness. Still, her nerves were sharp as she walked inside. Daniel was standing by his desk, looking over some documents. When he saw her, his face softened immediately. "Emily, thanks for coming." His voice was calm, steady, almost too gentle for how quickly her heart was racing. She sat down across from him, trying to read his expression. "You said you had an idea." "Yes," he said, sliding a thin folder toward her. "And I hope you'll at least consider it before you panic." That made her even more nervous. Inside the folder was a flyer, elegant black and gold, with a picture of a ballroom on it. She scanned the words quickly. A charity fundraiser event for a community program hosted downtown. Formal dress code. Large sponsors attending. She frowned, confused. What does this have to do with me? Daniel took a breath, almost as if preparing himself. "I'm one of the sponsors," he explained. "They expect each sponsor to bring a guest. My original guest backed out yesterday." Emily nodded slowly, still not understanding. He looked at her with a small, nervous smile. "I want you to come with me." She blinked. He said simply, "As my guest." Her heart jumped. She hadn't expected this at all. She had imagined a payment plan, a delay option, maybe even a recommendation for more freelance work. But a formal event? With him? Seeing her confusion, Daniel continued, "I know it sounds unusual, but the event is important. These people aren't always easy to talk to. Having someone with me so on calm and respectful makes everything easier, and I trust you." Emily swallowed. "Daniel, this sounds like something you'd ask a friend." He cut in gently. "I'm asking someone I respect, and someone I know will carry herself well in a room full of strangers." His honesty caught her by surprise. He wasn't complimenting her in a flirtatious way. He was speaking like someone who saw her value something she had struggled to see in herself these days. "And," he added carefully, "if you agree to come with me, I'll cover half your rent this month. No strings, no pressure, just an exchange of help. You help me at the event, I help you get through a rough month." Emily stared at him, stunned. She almost laughed at how simple the offer was and how gentle. Nothing strange. Nothing uncomfortable. just support in both directions. It was the opposite of the frightening scenarios she'd imagined, but still. She asked the question that had been sitting in her chest from the moment he handed her the folder. "Why me, Daniel? You barely know me." For a moment, he hesitated. Not because he was unsure, but because he wanted to phrase it gently. "Because you're easy to talk to," he said. "You're thoughtful. You listen. You don't make people feel rushed or judged. Those qualities matter at events like this. Honestly, I feel comfortable around you." His words hit her deeply. She had spent months feeling invisible, like she was just surviving, not living. Hearing that someone noticed her character, not her struggles, felt strangely emotional. She glanced down at the flyer again. A fancy ballroom. A formal dinner. Important people. Expensive dresses. And her, someone who had been tearing herself apart over a single rent payment? "Daniel," she said softly, "I don't want you to feel like you're paying me to go somewhere with you." He shook his head quickly. "It's not that. Wait. An even exchange. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a chance for both of us to help each other." She didn't know why, but her chest felt warm when he said that. He continued, "If you say no, that's completely fine. I'll still find a way to help you. But if you say yes, I think we'll make a great team that night." Emily let out a slow breath. She didn't want to overthink it. She didn't want to analyze every hidden meaning. She just wanted to make a decision based on trust. The truth was, Daniel had been nothing but respectful. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll go with you." A genuine smile spread across Daniel's face, relief mixed with something softer. "Thank you, Emily. Really, you're helping me more than you know." As they went over the details, the time, the dress code, where they'd meet, Emily listened with growing curiosity. Daniel talked in a calm tone, but there was something beneath his words, something warm. She sensed that this night meant more to him than just business. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe he wanted support too. When she stood to leave, Daniel added something she didn't expect. "I know this isn't easy for you, so thank you for trusting me." She nodded, suddenly unable to speak. Trust was something she hadn't given freely in a long time. As she walked back to her apartment, she kept replaying the look on his face. It wasn't the look of a landlord trying to get something from her. It was the look of a man who genuinely appreciated her presence, and she couldn't deny it. Something inside her shifted that day. Not attraction, not romance, not yet, but a quiet interest. A sense of safety. A small spark of hope she didn't expect. She opened her apartment door, closed it behind her, and leaned against it, feeling her heart beat faster. This wasn't what she had imagined when she asked for help. Wasn't even close. But it felt right, felt fair. And strangely, it felt meaningful that night. She couldn't stop thinking about what Daniel had said. "You're someone I feel comfortable around." No one had said that to her in years. She sat on her couch staring at the flyer, imagining. The night ahead, she didn't know what would happen there. She didn't know what she would feel. She knew one thing for sure. This was the start of something different. Something she wasn't ready for, but something she suddenly wanted to see unfold. And as she finally drifted to sleep, she felt a kind of anticipation she hadn't felt in a long time. The night of the fundraiser came faster than Emily expected. One moment she was trying to choose a dress from her small closet, and the next she was standing outside the elegant downtown hotel, taking a shaky breath as she watched people in suits and gowns walk inside. She had borrowed a simple navy blue dress from her friend, nothing fancy, nothing flashy, but it made her feel confident and calm, which was exactly what she needed tonight. She spotted Daniel near the entrance. He was wearing a dark suit that fit him perfectly, and his usual calmness seemed stronger than ever. When he saw her, he froze for a second, his eyes widening with quiet admiration. "Emily," he said softly, "you look incredible." The sincerity in his voice made her feel warm, like a hidden part of her was finally seen. She smiled, a little shy, but grateful. Inside the ballroom, everything felt grand soft music, glittering lights, long tables filled with guests dressed in their best. It was the kind of place Emily never imagined herself walking into. Yet Daniel stayed close, guiding her through the room, introducing her with confidence. And the surprising part was how natural it felt between them. "This is Emily," he said more than once, each time with a proud tone that made her chest lift with something she didn't fully understand. People smiled at her, complimented her dress, asked her questions about work. She found herself laughing, responding easily, and feeling like she belonged there. It had been months since she had relaxed like this, months since she had felt lighter. Whenever she felt nervous, Daniel would lean in slightly and whisper, "You're doing great." And just those 3 words steadied her again, as the evening went on. The space between them grew warmer, not physically, but emotionally. When they moved through the crowd, Daniel walked close enough that she could feel the quiet protection in his presence. When someone told a joke, Emily and Daniel shared the same reaction, the same small smile. When a conversation became tiring, he noticed instantly and gently pulled her away with an excuse. There was a comfort between them that didn't feel new, it felt familiar. Like it had always been there, but they were only now discovering it. At one point, a woman from the city council approached them, smiling brightly. "You two make a lovely pair," she said without hesitation. Emily froze, unsure how to respond, but Daniel laughed softly. Not correcting the woman, not awkward, just warm, almost embarrassed. And for a moment, Emily wondered what it would feel like if the comment wasn't a misunderstanding at all. After the speeches ended, the ballroom lights dimmed slightly, and people stepped outside for air or conversation. Daniel touched Emily's arm gently. "Do you want to step out to the balcony?" he asked. She nodded. The balcony was wide and quiet, overlooking the city lights. Cool night air brushed against her skin, calming her nerves and giving her a moment to breathe. Daniel stood beside her, his hands resting lightly on the railing. Neither spoke for a few seconds' silence, but not uncomfortable, just peaceful. Finally, Daniel broke the quiet. "I'm glad you came tonight." Emily looked at him, surprised by the softness in his voice. "I wasn't sure I'd fit in," she admitted. "You fit in better than anyone," he said, without hesitation. "I knew you would." She felt something stir inside, her something she had been trying to ignore since the moment he saw her outside the hotel. A gentle pull, a quiet longing. She didn't want to rush into anything, but she also couldn't pretend she felt nothing. Daniel took a slow breath, as if preparing himself. "Emily, I want to tell you something, and I need to say it carefully." Her heart raced. "I didn't invite you tonight because I needed someone to stand beside me," he said. "I invited you because I wanted to spend more time with you." Emily felt her breath stop. He wasn't being dramatic, wasn't trying to charm her. His voice was calm, honest, deeply honest, he continued. "You've been going through so much, and I didn't want to make your life harder by saying anything before. But being around you, it feels good. It feels right." She didn't know how to respond at first. Just looked at his face, sincere, not pushing her. He wasn't making a move. He wasn't crossing any lines. He was simply speaking his truth. Before she could answer, an announcement echoed from inside. Someone was calling Daniel back for a sponsor photo. He looked frustrated for the first time that night, but he gave her a small, apologetic smile. "I won't be long," he said. Gently, "Please don't disappear." Emily nodded, almost laughing at how he said it, like he truly didn't want her to leave. When he stepped back inside, Emily remained on the balcony, holding onto the railing as her mind spun. She replayed his words over and over, trying to steady her breathing. She wasn't used to someone caring for her this openly. She wasn't used to someone protecting her feelings instead of playing with them. Everything about Daniel felt different. She looked out at the city lights, wondering what she was supposed to feel. She knew she was grateful to him. She knew she respected him. And deep down, She knew something more was growing, a connection she hadn't expected and wasn't prepared for. But it was gentle, slow, not rushed or forced. She touched her chest lightly, trying to calm the ache she didn't understand. Could this be the beginning of something real? Something she wasn't ready to voice? She didn't know. But she knew. She wanted to find out. When Daniel finally returned, his expression was a mix of relief and hope. "Sorry about that," he said. "I didn't want to be away from you too long." Emily felt her face warm, and she looked away for a moment, trying not to smile to Big Dot. But inside, she already knew. This night had changed something between them. Something quiet, something tender, something that felt like the start of a story neither of them had planned. Emily couldn't sleep that night, even after returning to her apartment from the fundraiser. Her mind replayed every moment, the soft glow of the ballroom lights, the quiet city from the balcony, and most of all, Daniel's words. He had been honest, careful, and unexpectedly gentle. For months she had been carrying stress, loneliness, and fear of failure. But that night something inside her shifted. She realized she could trust someone again, maybe even let someone in. And Daniel was different from anyone she had met in years. The next morning she received a text from him. "Are you free to meet? I'd like to talk about tonight." Her heart skipped. She knew this conversation could be significant. She put on something casual but nice, a simple blouse and jeans, and walked to the office. The weather was cool and the sun gave the city a soft golden glow. When she arrived, Daniel was already there waiting by the desk. His calm expression softened further when he saw her. "Hi, Emily," he said. His voice carried the same warmth from the night before. "Thanks for coming." "Course," she replied, trying to steady her nerves. She didn't want to overthink the moment, but she couldn't help feeling anticipation. Daniel motioned for her to sit. He leaned slightly forward, a gesture that felt both intimate and respectful. "I wanted to talk about last night," he began. "Not just the event, but how we feel." Emily's heart raced. She had felt something stirring the previous evening, but she had been careful not to name it. Now, sitting across from him, she knew she had to be honest with herself. I enjoyed tonight," she said softly. "More than I expected. Being with you. It felt safe and easy. I haven't felt that in a long time." Daniel nodded, his eyes warm. "That's exactly how I feel. I didn't want to overstep, especially since I'm your landlord. But I wanted you to know the truth. I like being around you, more than just as a tenant or a guest at an event." Emily blinked, surprised by his sincerity. She felt a flutter of something unfamiliar, hope mixed with longing. "I feel the same," she admitted. I didn't know if it was appropriate to say." "Appropriate doesn't matter here," Daniel replied gently. "What matters is honesty and respecting each other. We can take things slowly, figure out what this is, together." Emily smiled, a soft relief washing over her. For so long she had been alone with her worries, her broken routines, and the stress of surviving month to month. Now someone had not only understood her, but had offered companionship without pressure. Someone saw her worth even when she doubted herself. They talked for hours. It's not about work, not about rent, but about life's simple things at first. It's like favorite movies, childhood memories, and funny mistakes from school. Then, slowly, conversation moved to more personal topics, their fears, their past disappointments, and hopes for the future. Every word deepened their connection, creating a bond that felt honest and rare at one point. Emily laughed at a story Daniel shared from his childhood, and he caught her hand lightly. It wasn't dramatic, and it wasn't sudden, but the touch was enough to make Emily's chest warm and her heart beat faster. She realized that small gestures, like this gentle handhold, could carry more meaning than words. After a while, Daniel shifted the conversation back to the practical matter, the deal that had brought them together initially. "About the rent," he said carefully. "I want you to know that it was never meant to make you feel obligated or uncomfortable. It was simply a way to help. But more than that, I want you to know I'm here. If you ever need support, financial, emotional, or just someone to talk to." Emily nodded, touched by his consideration. "Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it." "More than I can say," he smiled softly. "Because you deserve that and more." There was a pause, a quiet moment where neither needed to speak. The office felt warm and safe, a stark contrast to the chaos of her thoughts just weeks ago. Emily realized how much tension she had carried, not just from money or work, but from the fear of being alone and invisible. Daniel's presence, steady and respectful, eased all that pressure. Finally, Daniel spoke again, his voice gentle but firm. "Emily, the truth is, I want more than just a friendly connection, but I also want to respect your pace. We don't have to rush anything. Just want you to know that I'm serious about spending time with you, seeing where this can go, and being someone you can rely on." Emily's eyes softened. She had been through heartbreak before, moments where trust had been broken, but something about Daniel was different. He wasn't flashy, he didn't push, and he didn't expect her to act on impulse. Steadiness. His care and his honesty made her feel safe enough to consider opening her heart again. I like that," she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. "I want to see where this goes to. Slowly, carefully, but genuinely." Daniel's smile widened, the warmth in his eyes deepening. "Then that's what we'll do. No games, no rush. Honesty, trust, and time." They left the office together, walking side by side through the quiet streets. The night was cool, with a soft breeze carrying the scent of autumn leaves. The city lights reflected off the pavement, creating a gentle glow around them. It wasn't dramatic, there were no grand gestures, but every step felt significant. Every glance shared held meaning. As they reached her car, Daniel paused. "Emily, I know the offer I made about the rent was unusual, but I hope you understand that my intention was always to help, not to make things awkward. You can trust me. Always." Emily nodded, her chest warm with emotion. "I do, and I already feel like I can." He gave her one last soft, meaningful smile. "Good night, Emily, and thank you for trusting me." She watched him walk back to his car, feeling a strange sense of peace. For the first time in months, maybe years, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The stress, the loneliness, the constant worry, they were still there, but now tempered by hope. She realized that a single act of kindness, combined with honesty and respect, had opened a door she hadn't thought possible. Sitting in her car afterward, Ellie reflected on everything that had happened: the initial fear about paying rent, the unexpected invitation, the fundraiser, and Daniel's honesty. What started as a simple offer to help her survive financially had become something far more meaningful. It was a connection built on trust, understanding, and respect. And more than that, it was the start of a story neither of them had planned, but one they both wanted to explore. A story that promised patience, growth, and the quiet beginnings of something real. She leaned back, eyes closed, and let herself breathe. She wasn't just thinking about the night or the deal. She was thinking about the future, about moments that might come. Shared laughter, quiet talks, and the warmth of companionship she had longed for. For the first time in a long time, Emily felt ready to hope, to trust, and to open her heart. Again, this wasn't just a deal. This wasn't just a favor. It was the beginning of something genuine, something tender, something that could grow into love, and Emily couldn't wait to see what happened next.